The sky turns into a field of blue. What I need is a little downtime in the right place, in the right space. It's gonna take me at least a week to clear my mind. Yeah, I'm gonna need a little downtime. It's a perfect beach day, what don't you think? It's a perfect house day too. And just glad to be here. Yeah, it's warmer than Nashville. It don't really matter what we do. What we need is a little downtime in the right place, in the right space. It's gonna take us at least a week to clear our minds. Yeah, we really need a little downtime. A little downtime.
So I didn't get the video fast enough. Essence was laying down in the pond. She thinks she's a moose. They're having great fun now. Splash, 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 splash. Splishy splash. So far no snakes, so we're all good to go.
Turn off that cell phone, baby. Haven't checked my email all day. Well, there's a lot of people out there trying to reach us. For now, I think I like it that way. What we need is a little downtime in the right place, in the right space. It's gonna take us at least a week to clear our minds. Yeah, we really need a little downtime. A little downtime. A little downtime. A little downtime. Everybody needs a little downtime. A little downtime. Everybody needs a little downtime.
Well, hey folks, we trying to deal with all of the intricacies of being out on location today. We're in one of my favorite places in the entire planet, Mr. Don Logan's farm. Barefoot Knives and Gun Barefoot Ranch down in Del Florida, where it's incredibly peaceful and where we can embark on some of our hobbies. Not really participate in some of our hobbies, other than, you know, ranches and our animals, because we have cows and some horses here, but we also do quite a bit of bladesmithing, blacksmithing, gunsmithing, sitting around under the giant oak trees and the white paper mahogany trees, the weeds of trees back there, relaxing. Yesterday we were unable to relax much because it was pouring out rain. So now it's not. Now we can do what we want to do out here. It's a little wet because it rained most of the afternoon, or most of the morning into the afternoon. But we're here. We're doing what we do. So welcome to RoundTable Ranch on the CTW TV network. You can find us on YouTube, Guns Vet Survival. Make sure you spell it right. I was trying to find my own page today. It kept changing it to Gun Vets Survival, and it doesn't come up very well that way. So it's Guns Vets Survival, one word, as it shows up on the screen. Find us on CTW TV Network's Facebook page and YouTube. Uh-oh, dropped my mouse. Now it's going to do weird things. It's all good. But anyway, you can find us on The Shooter's Rest, one word, YouTube, and CTW Media Group's YouTube and Facebook page. We're everywhere. Anywhere Dan Meadows puts out his content, we have our content. Because, CTW TV Network, and that's what we do. But this is kind of a proof of concept for us today. If we can go anywhere, there's internet or cell phone signal and broadcast live. And as long as my phone is sitting in the exact right place, which at this point is wedged between a vise and that is mounted to a railing system over here, for some reason it works great. So, and as long as OneDrive isn't trying to download videos at the same time. That doesn't work very well. But so far today, or so far this week, has been an emotional trial. We got some good news and got some bad news and got some worse news, and not going to get into all of it. It's somebody else's story to tell, but it is needless to say, definitely a very trying week so far. Which is why I'm down here at the ranch, because it's peaceful. But when your wife wakes up at 2:30 in the morning and says, "Hey, you need to go," it isn't because she's being mean. It's because she cares and she wants you to go clear your head. And that's what happened to me Monday morning. Wife woke me up. She goes, "You need to go down to Florida." And so I packed up my stuff, gave her a kiss, and went down to Florida. And like I said, it's not her being mean, it's her taking care of me and knowing exactly what I need. And she's very good at that. And it's just the way she is. So today's show obviously is going to be concentrating a little bit on some emotional trauma, moral injury stuff maybe. I did have a guest lined up, and once again, I think I'm going to have to start going through and really getting to know these people to earn their trust more, to get them to come on the show, because I have a lot of people canceling at the last second, like, no, I really don't want to put my face on there, which you don't have to do. We can put up a cartoon version or a picture of your choice for your face, and we could do that. But then there's some people that just don't want, they want to share their story until 5 minutes before we're supposed to go live. And I can understand it. It's rough. It's rough talking about yourself, and it's kind of rough sharing your story sometimes. So we don't get upset about it. We just drive on, carry on, and can try to go with the flow. So I think today we'll just get into some ways you can help yourself. Because that's basically what we were going to be talking about anyway, is ways you can help yourself with everything. I know it sounds kind of funny. You can help yourself, but other than having somebody to talk to, sometimes having a hobby is going to dig yourself out of a hole. And I have lots of hobbies. Other than doing this show and doing Backyard Prepperversity and doing the Shooter's Rest TV and gardening and messing with the horses out at the Warriors Ranch and fishing and hunting. I do bladesmithing. And for me, it's easier to pound on a piece of steel than to go to jail for pounding on somebody else. So I get angry, I fire at the forge. If I'm happy, I fire at the forge. I like to fire at the forge. I also like to go shoot. But my hobbies are very important. My wife will tell me I have 1,000 hobbies and I never accomplish a darn thing. I never finish anything. I do finish my knives. It just takes a while. If they're not for somebody specifically, they sit in a ammo can in blank form, hardened, drilled, holes drilled, no scales on them, not finished. They'll sit there for a year until I feel like doing them again. So we have projects coming out of our wazoo, and I have hobbies that come out of just about every orifice on my body. I like working on cars. As long as that car isn't new. I don't want to do new cars anymore. They make me angry. So something about computer technology and all that fun stuff trying to take over your car has not been very kind to my psyche. So I like old cars, working on cars. Riding on motorcycles, a big hobby. Hobbies will save your life. And if you have some, join an organization. I'm going to say this one. Memorial Day this year, I went for a motorcycle ride with the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association. And that's really important because 9 times out of 10, I never left my house on Memorial Day or Veterans Day. There's too many people doing too many things and in your face about way too much. And it freaked me out. But this year, my wife and I went down on a Saturday, the Saturday before Memorial Day. We went down to Andersonville and we rode around on our motorcycles and then rode back. And then Monday, my wife stayed home with my service dog, and I jumped on the bike and I met up with the local chapter of the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, which is 25-9 in Middle Georgia. And they welcomed me with open arms, and we rode all the way down to Andersonville, Georgia, Anderson POW Camp, National Park or National Monument, and spent the day putting flags on graves. And then had a little barbecue, went out to eat. Well, once I got there, I called my wife and she came down in the truck. But we went out to eat, and then we all rode home. It was, probably about 200-mile day on the motorcycle. But the thing is I don't usually leave my house on those days. I don't usually go out. I don't usually participate in anything that has to do with a lot of people on those days because I don't do well in those situations. At least I don't feel like I do. So joining this particular organization has been very, very beneficial for me. It's been putting me in situations that I may not like at first, as in a lot of people around, but because they're all combat veterans or combat veterans family members or auxiliary members of the association, I start to get comfortable. And that's important. They'll never put you in a situation which you can't handle, which is great. It's like we feed off each other, we talk to each other, we do everything with each other as far as trying to help each other through our stresses and our traumas, and we like to have a good time and we like to party a little bit, but it's just good, clean fun full of people that are just like you. Now law enforcement, they have their own motorcycle associations, clubs, groups that go riding, and so do firefighters and a lot of first responders. And I would highly encourage everybody to find an organization to be part of that can help you through all this stuff. If anything else, it just gets you out of your house on those days that you wouldn't normally get out of your house. And it's important to do that. I feel better about the way things are going now than I was before by simply leaving the house. once in a while. And then things like Dan Meadows and I did, I want to say it had to have been January 2016. He was contacted by a TV production company out of Belgium about putting together a show, and he brainstormed a bit and decided he wanted to do a Veterans Range Day. And he called me up, and I packed up my stuff. I packed up my service dog. I threw it all in the Honda Odyssey I had at that time, and I took off to North Carolina. We had a huge group of veterans get together, and this is actually what made this show an idea. But we all met at the gun range, indoor gun range. They had a classroom. We took over the classroom. Very large group of vets and some of their spouses. We had World War II all the way to, Afghanistan, Iraq, Part 2, in this classroom, and we did nothing but share our stories with each other for a few hours. We had a psychologist in the room and people that knew how to take care of things. And after everybody got all stressed out and amped up with talking about all their emotional stuff, we went out on the gun range and we shot and shot and shot and shot and shot so much ammo in 2016 that when I got home I had to change the barrel on my AR. Between the guys that had never fired an AR, the guys from Belgium, to guys that just wanted to try out a new school AR because they had older stuff or hadn't fired one since I left the service. And we put like 3,000 rounds through my AR, and it was already old and beat up anyway, so we shot the throat out. But that camaraderie inspired this show, and I want everybody to be able to participate in it. But it's one of those things where you get a group of guys together that not really think the same way, but have the same style of stories. And you get them talking in an open format. You'd be surprised in how good you feel afterwards. Now, since I'm the only one doing this show right now, I'm going to ask if anybody in the world outside this miniature screen in front of me has any comments or questions. Feel free to put them in the comment box. I'll answer them. We'll get to the bottom of it, the nitty gritty of it. If you would like to be a guest on the show, or talk about being a guest on the show, down at the bottom right corner of the screen, my left, right there, see, right there, gunsvetsurvival@gmail.com. Shoot me an email. We'll talk about it. We'll figure out what makes it easier for you to come on the show and share your story. Now, I'm going to vet as much as I possibly can, because in a previous show that we did on Blog Talk Radio, we got bamboozled by somebody, and the story they were telling wasn't their story, and it was actually another friend of mine's story, and we're trying not to do that anymore. So, but if you have a story you'd like to share, even family members can come on and share their story about what their dad, mom, brother, sister, spouse, significant other of some form has been going through or went through, and that'd be great. It's a great way to start, and because you don't really have to worry about much. Your face is on here or is not on here, your story gets out there, but you feel better for sharing it. I always do. So that is me imploring you to come on the show. Let's talk. Let's have a good time. Let's get your story out there in the world so you can start processing or finish processing or continue processing everything you've been through. Or if you want to just tell a story of a triumphant time. So, I would like to say I have many of those, and I probably do, but I don't remember those near as well as I remember the traumatic times. And I don't remember those very well sometimes either, because I've got this stupid little thing in my head that makes me incredibly forgetful sometimes. And a time like the week I've been having, some things have just been flying out of my head. So that's where we're at, and that's what we're doing with. We're trying to remember stuff. You write it down, keep going, but it doesn't always work. But the next few days are going to be very traumatic for a lot of Iraq war vets, at least the guys that deployed and went over the border in 2003. Today is the 16th. Today is when a lot of advance party started creeping across the border. Some probably already had crept across the border, but we moved from our tactical Alpha to the border on this day for sure. All invasion forces were staged and ready to rock and roll. So be cognizant of that. It's coming. The worst day of the year for a lot of us is about to hit, and we may not be looking forward to it very much. I've done better over the years, over these, for these few days than I had initially, but it still causes a little bit of turmoil in my sleep. So, I can just remember being completely awestruck, just bewildered when Glory 7 went off. Glory went off, and that was the name of our artillery task force at the time, I believe. That's what I remember hearing over the radio. I can hear it as plain as day today. It started off with MLRS. Oh, scratch that. It started off with hearing the birds go over the border. It's pitch black. It's 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. You hear the birds going over, fast movers, B-52s, and you just hear them screaming across that border. And about 5 minutes later, MLRS fires off, and it's just constant bright flashing and streaming lights across the sky. And then the M107s go off, or the 109s go off, Paladins going, 155 flying through the air, and it's chaotic, and it's loud, and it's bright, and it's just amazing to behold. And then 20-year-old me realizes that I have to drive my Bradley through that. And if any of you guys were home at the time and you were watching CNN, because back then CNN was halfway decent, you might have seen a video of Private First Class Jason Hyatt sitting on the driver's hatch of his Bradley smoking a cigarette, overwatching what the chaos of the next few days is going to bring. And just bewilderment. I didn't even know that had been filmed or been used. I don't remember somebody with a camera. My uncle said, "Hey, we saw you on TV the day before this started, the night that it started." And it was pretty cool. I thought it was cool about, that time. Yay, I got to be on TV, but come to find out I'd be on TV quite a bit. During all those wonderful experiences in life. But the initial push into Iraq was traumatic, I trained a lot. We'd done MTC a couple times. We'd gone to the range, been to gunnery a bunch of times, been out to the field 100 times at this point, and I was 21, but I joined the Army when I was 20. I had a lot going on before I joined the Army. I'd been arrested. I was formerly a drug addict, and I did a lot of stupid things that led me to the point where I had to join the military, aka first-time offenders in the state of Georgia. But they all got me to where I was supposed to be. I can't even be mad about it. I was just a stupid kid. But when you're sitting on the border of another country, inside a other country that's not even your country, and you're looking over the chaos that started, like just right then and there, you get a call over the radio, hey, it's go time, and next thing you know, you got fast movers and B-52s and C-130s and everything else flying across the border, and MLRS flying, and the M109 is going off. And at 21 years old, it was, like I said, amazing and awesome, but also incredibly scary. I mean, I could not imagine being on the other side with all of that coming down. It makes my heart pump thinking about it. It's just amazing the way he did all of that. And then you're supposed to be able to go to sleep because you're going to be rolling in a few hours. You know, you're going to start your Bradley up. You're going to close your hatch. You're going to lock and load your M16. You're going to lock and load your M9. You're going to make sure everything is hot and ready, and red direct on the red direct status on your 25 mic. Your radios are kicking, your night vision's rocking, and it's a lot. You're trying to think task by task by task by task. This is what I've got to do. And then go time comes. It's 4:30 in the morning. You've got like 4 vehicles in front of you. There might have been more than that, but it doesn't seem like it's that many. You know, might have been air defense, but we were the air defense for the advance party. 369 Armor rolled in. We were right with them. So we weren't too far in that column that rolled as hard as we could. So you're hauling. You're just doing your thing, and you are hauling butt. And you get across that border, and you think that that's going to be the hardest thing you've done all day. The hardest thing to do at that point, for me, wasn't rolling across the border. It wasn't even realizing that we were getting shot at any point, or hearing the 25 go off and realizing we were shooting at things. The hardest thing for me to do for 3 days straight was eat. At that point, everything tasted like dust, whether there was dust in it or not. Everything, sounds were muted. I don't know if that's because the CVC was on and speakers in my ear the whole time. But I couldn't think straight, and we rolled hard for 3 days. We got, that first day we got to Tulil Air Base. We were expecting a huge firefight, but we all know what happened. The Iraqis ran out the other side with their tanks and disappeared because they were afraid of us. And we actually stopped for the night there. We ate our MREs, we fueled up, got 3 or 4 hours of sleep on a watch rotation. We had 2 man up, 2 man down on our Brad, so the TC and gunner, or TC and driver would sleep, and then the loader and the gunner would sleep and switch off back and forth, making sure if something happened, we can all roll the entire task force. And it's rough. It's hard to think about being 21 and doing this, but there's guys younger than me. I know my loader was. But the second day, we put the pedal down and we rolled hard, and we got on a Jaff and watched to the amazement as we pull outer security, outer cordon for the city to keep the bad guys from coming out. I watched the little birds fly around, watching artillery rounds come in, watching RPGs go off. We had nothing to do on the outer cordon because our guys inside were doing their job. But I still remember it. I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember the feeling. It's not great, but it's not bad at the same time. Day 3, we hauled butt from Anajaf. We didn't really stop. We stopped at the cordon, and then once the little firefight was over, we rolled out. Got to the escarpment, ginormous hill. I'm talking Bradley trucking up a hill like this, guns a-blazing, and that's when me as a driver of a Bradley, started noticing things more than just the road in front of me and watching for oncoming, U.S. military vehicles or outgoing. But at that point is when I start noticing the bodies, the POWs, the blown up vehicles, watching a B-52 come in on the top of the escarpment dropping J-dams on air defense trucks, getting up there, getting mortared for the first time on top of the escarpment, just feeling all that raw emotion at that time. Like I said, I can still feel it today. It's fresh, and we're talking 19 years ago that all of this took place. It's hard to believe that was 19 years ago that we invaded Iraq to go look for the mysterious weapons of mass destruction. We're not going to get into that whole political rigmarole because that's not what this show's about. It's not what this is supposed to be. But we got up to escarpment, and my unit, two platoons out of Alpha Battery 1388 got tasked to go secure a bridge in another little town, Objective Jenkins, bridge for Highway 1. And remember, we're air defense. We've got Stinger missiles. We've got 8 Brads with Stinger missiles and 2 Brads with TOWs. They attach a Colt unit from 37 Cav with us, and we haul butt. And this is going to be the craziest night of my life. To this day, I don't think I have anything more emotional in my, not really emotional, anything more vivid in my memory than hearing my commander call for fire on an entire grid square. Because we rolled into this town, just outside this town, and we got the snot. Well, I can't say we got the crap kicked out of us. We got ambushed, like, in a way that we could not imagine. We weren't expecting it. They were just coming out of under the bridge and in the weeds and everything else. And yes, it was small arms and RPGs, and we had some artillery coming in, and we had some other things going on. But we did a tactical withdrawal. My commander called for a barrage of artillery on top of this entire grid square. Talking 1,000 by 1,000 square kilometers that had this area in it. The whole thing. Because we couldn't identify how many people there were, how many troops there were, how many pieces of artillery there were. We couldn't identify. It was just a mass amount. They wanted to keep this particular piece of real estate as their own. And we roll out 45 minutes. We just hear artillery pounding this grid square. And it stops, and we roll back in. And the same thing happens. We do a tactical withdrawal, because we never retreat. And again, artillery, 30 more minutes, just pounding and pounding and pounding. And then we roll in. Well, at that point, for that particular 1,000 meters of space, they had given up. They had given up. They weren't fighting us in that 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer square. But they were fighting us in the other group in the next square. They were fighting us in the next one after that, and the next one after that. So now at 21 years old, we've invaded a country. We have taken the fight to the enemy. Now we are going basically through the streets of a tiny little town for a bridge that we want to make sure they can't use, in a 35-ton vehicle loaded with high explosive rounds, tow missiles, Stinger missiles, and, you know, a bunch of angry people coming through, and we're getting shot at, mercilessly shot at, just for hours. And yeah, I feel safe. I'm surrounded by an entire armored vehicle. Why not? But at the same time, it's so intense. The fighting is so intense. Especially through night vision fishbowl, a big fishbowl thing in front of your face. And that's all you can think about, is just how much ammo and how much sound and how much even breathing is a strain on you. And then you become numb. So numb you don't want to think about it anymore. Just numb. Numb to the prospects of going in and doing it again. Or getting out of your vehicle to pee. Because you don't want to pee on your Bradley. You don't want to pee inside of it. It's going to get stinky. But that first 24 hours inside this objective was just so hellish and chaotic that you can't think about it without, your heart beating again. And that's the same day that the sandstorm would beat sandstorms. Well, that might have been the second day, but it all runs together because you hadn't slept in 3 days and you hadn't really thought much about what day ended and what day started at that point. But the sandstorm comes in and you can't see your face or your hand in front of your face from this far. Arm's length, you can't see it anymore. Get out of your Bradley to check your vehicle oil levels and make sure you're not going to die because your Bradley can't make it. And getting shot at because they're shooting at the sound. It's just what happens. And then, thinking about all of it and watching the tanks come in to reinforce us and then blowing the bridge underneath the tanks. You're sitting by this bridge and you're watching and it blows up. And when the dust settles, it's a bit cockeyed, but that M1 tank is still sitting right in the middle of it, watching the TC get out, jump up and down, come across the net, said, "It's good, let's go." It's it was exciting, it was powerful, and it was, it hurts a little bit thinking about it, and thinking about my loader that he made it back from that tour, but he didn't make it back from his other tour. It's draining. It's an emotional toll. So these next few days, as we celebrate 19 years of being able to live through the most chaotic days of our life, of invading another country, whether it was for good or bad, we're not getting into this conversation on this particular show. Not on RoundTable Ranch. We're not going to rehash whether the war was just or not just. We're not going to do that. We're just going to talk about our stories. But I can sit here today and say I lived through it. I lived through the aftermath of it all. I lived through it every day. Close my eyes at night and I have to tell myself I don't want to go there. Still, to this day, I have to do that. And I can tell you right now, law enforcement goes through the same thing, and some first responders go through the same thing, depending on the chaotic situation in which they found themselves. So, but remember, 19 years ago, this time period, because some people were already in their country, some people were still trying to get into the country, some people were preparing to invade the country, at this point. And we're not going to do the show again until next week on Monday. And we'll miss the anniversary. So the next few days, other than St. Patrick's Day tomorrow, we'll be celebrating invading Iraq and living through it. Not to celebrate invading the country. If you don't feel like it, just celebrate the fact you made it through it and lived through that crap. How many years ago it was. I know my first time I stepped in that country was 19 years ago. You know. And I went in 2003. I went from 06 to 08. I went from 09 to 2010. I did the invasion, the surge, and the drawdown. I mean, I feel like I finished my tour in Iraq 100%. I've done it, everything that needed to be done over there in my mind. And I tell myself that so I don't regret any of it. But if you talk to law enforcement, they'll tell you stories of things that happen here that we need to talk about and share. So I'm going to implore you again, gunsvetsurvival@gmail.com. Come on the show. Talk to us. Share your triumphs. Share your stories. Talk about things that are going on with you. Talk about things that you've seen and witnessed and you're trying to deal with in your own way. Or talk about things that have worked for you. That, hey, this used to be me. This is me now. This is what we're looking for. So I'm going to take a quick break, couple minutes, play a little bit of music, and I'll be right back.
Sunrise breaks across the ocean. The coffee's brewing and the day is new. I like to sit right here and watch the morning until the sky turns into a field of blue. What I need is a little downtime in the right place, in the right space. It's gonna take me at least a week to clear my mind. Yeah, I'm gonna need a little downtime. It's a perfect beach day. Why don't you think? It's a perfect house day too. And just glad to be here. Yeah, it's warmer than Nashville. It don't really matter what we do. What we need is a little downtime in the right place, in the right space.
Alright guys, I'm back. I appreciate you guys hanging in there while I hacked my lungs out from the allergy season. And obviously we're doing this show outside. That is not a screen behind me. And if you had noticed, Brody walked through, the wind is blowing. This is, we are not, yeah, see there goes, see the trees? That's not a screen. We are at Barefoot Knives and Gun, Barefoot Ranch here in Bell, Florida. Kind of doing proof of concept, broadcasting hotspot off my phone to my computer, broadcasting live from a location that is near and dear to my heart. So, and like if you missed the beginning of the show, this is where I come to spend time with my brother and his wife and the cows and some other horses that aren't at Warriors Ranch. And we sit out here and we forge knives, or we blacksmith some equipment that we want to do, or we just do some gunsmithing, because working with your hands and having a hobby is important. It's very important. My brother Don is in there drilling holes in steel right now, and if you hear the screech coming through the screen or through your sound, don't worry, it's not a cat getting murdered. It's just a piece of steel that is giving a lot of problems drilling some holes through so we can put handles on a knife. Because sometimes they give us a bit of a problem. So, pick a hobby. Any hobby. Find an organization to belong to. Find a purpose for your soul. Purpose for yourself. My purpose is doing this show. My purpose is doing Backyard Prep University. My purpose is the Shooter's Rest. My purpose is helping out other veterans by breeding dogs to give away as service dogs. My purpose revolves around helping other veterans, law enforcement, and first responders move through their lives, move through the things that they've done and their experiences. So, so from CTW TV Network, as I was deployed in the Middle East about 43 years ago as an advisor to the U.S. Army. Tough times there then too. Still remember the good, the bad, and the ugly of those times there. Hooah. I really don't think we'll ever forget it. Now there's a lot of it we'd probably like to forget. Probably a lot of experiences a lot of us would like to say, nope, it never happened. But it does, and we deal with it on a day-to-day basis in our own little way. But other ways to deal with it, your emotional trauma, your mindset, the way you want to do things. Just talk to people. Share your story. Encourage others to share their story with you. Like I said, that's why we do this show every week, is to give you guys an open platform to come on here, show your face don't, and share your story with us. And obviously the world. Everybody sees my face. I know it's perfect for radio, but there it is. My ugly mug is going to be right there for you. And no, this is not a derogatory shirt for anybody that's paying attention. It says 0 Lux given. Lux. This is tomorrow, St. Patty's Day. So, and once I get all my chickens, it's probably going to say 0 clucks given because, well, 18 million chickens in a backyard, there's going to be a lot of clucking going on. And with 2 roosters, there's going to be even more clucking going on. So, find your purpose in life and stick with it. Because for us, it was leaving the service and not having a purpose was probably the hardest thing to do. Find your purpose. If you think your purpose is helping other veterans and law enforcement or first responders, find a way you can help. You can come on the show and help that way. You can send me an email to gunsvetsurvival@gmail.com and we can talk about it. We can help you figure it out. But also, finding an organization that caters to your needs works great. So, there we are. But yeah. This is a family-friendly show, but not... I wouldn't recommend it for anybody under 18 unless your child would like to come on and share a story with us about the things that you have done or gone through, or your spouse or their parents that are no longer here. If they'd like to come talk to us on the show, that'd be great. I'd welcome it. But I definitely would say that this show is an 18 and up show. Oh no, my roosters did not change over to daylight savings time. Ever. My roosters are making the same noise at 5:30 in the morning that they were making at 6:30 in the morning. Because it's the same time. Then about an hour before the sun comes up, the roosters will start cock-a-doodle-dooting and making a whole bunch of racket. Yesterday was raining. Today we have mosquitoes in my eyeballs. Woohoo! So note to self, pack the no skeeters and no gnats in the bag that goes with all the stuff we're broadcasting from the location, so I don't have mosquitoes getting in my eyeballs. Alright, I'm going to thank everybody for joining us today on this proof of concept, also soon to be anniversary of the invasion into Iraq for those of us that did it, and those family members that experienced the trauma of going through that and witnessing that by watching it on television. You just remember, it's the next 3-4 days are going to be rough for those of us, in a way. So next week's show is going to be back in the studio. Make it down and dirty. Next week, I should have a representative from the ranch coming on. I have to work out the details. As from the Warriors Ranch coming on. Talk a little bit more about what they do from their perspective. Hopefully they agree to, show their face so there's some more personality on here than just me. And then, like I said, if you want to share your story or want me to share your story, you can write me a long story. I'll read it. No names. Just give me something to talk about. You can email us at gunsvetsurvival@gmail.com or info@ctwmediagroup or ctwtv.com or ichasethewolf.com. Send an email. Let us know your story. We'll talk about your story here. You can come on our show, and I can put up a picture of a butterfly in your place if that's what you want. But we can have a nice open conversation. But thanks for joining us tonight. Remember, at RT Show 911 on Facebook, Guns Vet Survival on YouTube, CTW TV Network, CTW Media Group. I think I covered all of them. You can find us everywhere on all the platforms, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, Rumble, all of them, and soon everywhere else that you like to stream your content. So, I love you guys. Find somebody to talk to. I'll see you guys next week.